Hey there everyone, what's up? Today I am back with another impressions video. And this one is one I've been wanting to talk about for a while. Been wanting to talk about it for a while because I've been playing for a while. And every time I play it I keep finding new stuff that's awesome. And I just want to talk about it more and more. But nobody has it, so there's no one to talk with about it. But I'm going to talk to you guys about it right now, and that is Soul Sacrifice Delta. And first, I want to say a whole lot about this because there seems to be a lot of misconceptions about what it is. And it's easy to kind of fall into that. But first, Soul Sacrifice Delta isn't essentially a sequel to Soul Sacrifice. I know it's, you're going to think about it and you're going to see the name Soul Sacrifice Delta and you're going to think, oh, it's like an expansion. And that's kind of how they're billing it, too. Except to call it an expansion is kind of a disservice to what it actually is. You have so much new content in this game that the new content. Okay, first, if you played the first game and you're thinking like, well, I played the first game. If I just import my data, am I gonna be like, is half the game gonna be done? Nope. This game actually is I want to say it's about 85% completely new. So, and what I mean is that the original stories you did in the game, the original battles, they're all gone. Um, they're all completely new battles. So you have 15 chapters of entirely new battles. That's about 14 battles per stage, so you can do the math yourself. But, that's over 200 already. Plus, there's a bunch of additional stages, challenge stages like there were in the first one. Plenty of those. You've got hundreds and hundreds of new battles in this game. Of course, a lot of the same monsters are used, but all of the DLC monsters from the first game are in this game. Plus, you've got tons of new monsters, like so many new monsters in this game that and they're all awesome. All the new monsters are really great, and they do things that are unexpected. But I'll get into that later when I talk more about that. I just wanted to talk about how different it is from the first game. Um, like I said, to think of it as expansion does it a disservice because there is so much new content that doesn't feel like an expansion. Like I imported my data from the first game, and I have like I'm like one trophy away from a platinum in that, and the one I'm missing is like to view all the pages in the book, which is like just I don't feel like flipping through all this stuff to get the trophy. That's essentially what I haven't done in that game. So I cleared every mission, I beat every boss, I beat everything in that game. I did every challenge mission, and in this game, even though I imported all that data, um, I started off at 0. I mean, it erases your level data, so it starts you back at level 2, I guess. So 1 at each level. But um, when you start the stages, you keep the magic you had from the first game. So a lot of the time, if you played the first game and you import your data, you'll have a lot of magic that you can use right off. So you can kind of blow through the easier levels pretty quickly. Um, but what'll happen is, you'll come across a lot of the old bosses, and they have new moves, they have new strategies, they do different things. So the game doesn't feel like a rehash because everything is new. You're coming across new stuff. The stages, there's a lot of new stages. There's a lot of old stages that are changed. Um, the stages do different things in this. I should probably think about this in less of a kind of all over the place kind of way. So I should probably categorize what I'm talking about. So first, let me talk about the story. The story is different from the first game. There are a lot of different story elements, though. In the first game, you just had the Avalon story. And in this game, the Avalon story is there. You have that. So you have the beginning part with Nimue and all of that. But you have so much more story in this. The Avalon story is expanded, so you have all the characters from the first game are there. Those story elements are there. But You have expanded story elements for some of those characters, plus you have many new characters. So the Avalon story is basically doubled. Plus you have two entirely new factions. You have Sanctuary and you have Grim. And Sanctuary is like the blue faction, I guess. I don't save, I guess. I don't know what the English is for Soul Sacrifice, but yeah, this is the QSI people who they're blue in this game and not red. Unlike Avalon is red and the Sanctuary is blue, and you have Grim, which is an entirely different faction, which is neutral, but it's really different. The story, the way they work, and the way the whole game works is pretty much changed from the first game. So if you played the first game, you'll be unfamiliar with it enough to like feel like they changed so much that it feels like a new game. So, but when you go into stories, you have a pretty in-depth story, and it's of course expanded from the first game, but you also have a totally different end. The overall story is different. I don't think you can actually play the original story in this game. If you can, I don't know how you would be able to. But what happens is you'll go through the story and you'll find that parts of it are different. It's part of the story actually as to why. If you played the first game and you finished it, you'll kind of understand like it ended in a way that it was like you're kind of damned if you do and you damned if you don't. And in this case, it kind of revises that, where it keeps you in that same story but gives you options. And you'll notice it if you beat the first game. You'll notice the start of this game almost starts exactly where the last one left off, and that, again, to think of it as an expansion is kind of weird because it does essentially continues the same story from where you left off at the end of the first game. And, there's repeat stuff going on, but if you beat the first game, you kind of understand why. And, what happens here is that the story is really interesting, and the ending is a lot different. The tone is a lot different for the ending. The end boss is different. You've got a whole lot of different stuff going on. So the story itself is really good for this game. The first one I really liked. I really liked the monster stories. I really liked all the character stories. When you save somebody, they all have their own individual stories. There's many more of those in this. Many more people to save, many more stories, many more monsters, and more monster backgrounds to read. It's really interesting. So the story for this is top-notch. It's really good. Of course, I mean, the overarching story is it's not like a story-heavy game, but in the same way that, like, Dark Souls has a lot of lore by reading stuff, this game is chock full of lore that's awesome. Every monster is like reading a kind of a cool short story that's like a twist on a normal story that you already know. And it's usually in this kind of dark, creepy kind of twist that makes things, or like in some cases it's like weird, I don't know, like perverted kinds of twists. It's really cool. The whole story, the whole lore of this game, spectacular. I can't recommend that more. What else should I talk about? That's probably all I'll talk about for the story elements, but I should talk about the main systems of the game and how they've changed, because they have changed a lot. You've got... Previously, you had two options. When you defeated a monster, you could save them or sacrifice them. And in this game, it's not like that anymore. You have three options now. You have save, sacrifice, and fate. Essentially, it's fate. Or save and sacrifice work the same way. For now, I'll say they work the same way. And fate works in a way that it randomly assigns a sacrifice or save to the monster. And that would be the Grim faction. But the factions actually matter, because you can join them. And if you join Avalon, which is the standard game faction, it works the same way. When you sacrifice a monster, you get back power, and when you save a monster, you get back health. And I'm trying to think, maybe you get a power boost if you do the Fate one, I think that's what it is for Avalon. I didn't use Avalon for my playthrough, but Sanctuary is, if you join the Sanctuary, it's like a covenant almost. You join their group, you get your actual way you use powers changes. So when you sacrifice, it doesn't give you back power to your magic. It actually just gives you a power boost. And if you save, you actually get back power. And then if you sacrifice, if you use Fate, I think you get back health. And Grim does a different type of thing where if you sacrifice, you get power back. If you use Fate, you get power to your magic. And if you sacrifice or if you save, you get health back. I think I just screwed that up, but you'll see. You'll understand. They're kind of all shifted by one each time. So depending on what faction you're in, you actually have a different way to play the game. It's actually what you're doing is completely different. So I think that was a cool option. It definitely changes the way the game works. And you have like the magic is different in this game. It's different in a couple ways. First, in the previous game, the max was kind of gold magic. You had copper, silver, and gold magic. And in this game, there's a whole nother level. There's black. And the black magic is especially strong and especially hard to get. They changed the way the magic works so that you can't combine low-level magic to get high-level magic anymore. Not in the same way, at least. Previously, you could get, you could combine 2-3-star copper magics and get a silver magic, or the same for silver, or you expect the same for gold to get black. But actually, you can't do it that way anymore. You have to do the actual combinations of certain types of things. Like previously in the previous game, you had to combine some things to get new magic, but you didn't ever have to, like, if you had enough of one type, you could just combine it until you had enough to make a stronger version. You can't do that here. You have to actually have the ingredients to make the magic. So it does actually put a bit more focus on the not grinding for the same thing over and over, but to actually find the various magical components to make your magic. So it does take away a bit of the grind, which is nice. But again, it does make you search for different things, and some of the ingredients aren't things you can get from monsters. They're things you have to do separate types of quests for. So you'll find that there's different types of things besides just they're all fighting monsters in the end, but it's different than just doing normal quest missions over and over. You can actually do other types of things, which makes the game a little bit more varied, even though the core of it is still fighting a monster in an area. So let's see. For basic systems, I think there's another big change with the magic, is that now magic has different effects, and the magic effects can combine. So if you get certain types of magic, you can combine them together into stronger types of magic or different types of magic. So, for example, in the previous game, there's a kind of exploding plant. It's like a mine. And you would put it down, and a monster, something comes near it, it explodes. Fine, it's in this game. You can use it that way. But if, for example, you have an ice mine, and you put an ice pool over it, the mine will actually suck up the pool and become a different type of weapon. It'll actually become a ice spitting plant at that point. Or you can throw up little energy balls and it'll suck them in and become a kind of energy shooting mortar. Some of the magics, like some of the kind of non-elemental magics, will combine with elemental magics to make stronger attacks. Like you combine a non-elemental axe with elemental fire, and it'll suck up the fire and become like a huge fire axe you can use for a super strong hit. It's actually gives a whole lot more variation to the types of magic you can use. And they also limited the amount of magic you can use. So there's a limit to the types of magic you can use. You can only use 2 from each type. And that's important because it means you can't go into boss battles. Like previously, there were some bosses who were weak to certain things, and you could just load up on all of that one type of thing over and over 6 times. You have the 6 of the same thing, and you just blow the boss away. And now you can't do that because each thing is limited to 2, so you wouldn't be able to take like 6 of the same thing and just kind of use it over and over. You can't do that in this. They changed a lot of the way that they actually nerfed weapons in clever ways. So previously there was a lot of kind of tactics that everybody used online because they were the easy ways to fight things. Like you could get stun locks really easy on some bosses, and then you could like keep stunning them over and over. You could get usually 3 stuns in each battle, and that would like once you get the follow-up attack, it would just blow them away. I mean, you're pretty much like half their energy is gone if you can do that. In this one, you can't really do that. It's really hard to get the kind of element locks. Much harder than the first game, and they've kind of previous weapons that gave you kind of the element lock don't give as much anymore. So you have very few weapons that actually give you strong kind of element attachment to the enemies. So if you're going for locks, you have to use a special set of weapons pretty much, or you're not going to get it at all. They changed a lot with this, and it's like they're all really good changes. I think it balances the game much more and forces you to be a lot more varied each time. So you can't just like kind of blow bosses away with the same magics every time. And I think that it's a really good kind of addition to the game. It makes everything really nice. There's a lot of stuff with that. More new systems. There's new systems all over the place in this game. There's a shop now. So you can't buy magic there, but you can buy memories. And it's kind of like memories where you can buy pages of memories where you can go in and battle them. And if you complete the pages, you'll get costumes and accessories and things to change your character's appearance. And there's a lot of that. So you can go into the shops and get accessories for meeting challenges. You can get accessories for exchanging items, and you can also get kinds of like rumors. You can add rumors to the boss battles through like a kind of shop setting where it'll change some of the things in the boss battle, like it'll weaken enemies, or it'll add a bonus to the souls that you get, or it'll change the you can get like temporary changes to your kind of it's like faction, I guess I want to say. So you have a lot of options in this game that weren't in the first game. So many. And I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but I'm going to talk now about the new monsters and the graphics and all of that. So it looks like the first game, but there are a lot of new costumes. There's a ton of new costumes, actually. If you import data from the first game, everything you had was be unlocked still, but you'll also find that there's so much new stuff that you probably won't use any of that stuff you unlocked, because there's eventually going to be something that's better. And there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of accessories that you can get for meeting challenges. There's a lot of kind of new costumes. And that's pretty cool for the characters, but the bosses, there's so many new bosses in this game, and most of the new bosses are based on, like, Grimm's fairy tales. And there's so many of them that are really interesting. I'm trying to think of what there is. There's a lot of new stages that are based on the Grimm's fairy tales. So there's kind of a Rapunzel stage where, like, there's all these huge long-necked women with huge like long hair flowing all over the stage. It's really creepy and cool looking. But there's a lot of stages like that where they're all based on some kind of fairy tale. So they'll be like a like a Hansel and Gretel type stage where there's like a gingerbread houses and stuff. There's a lot of cool stuff. The new stages are really nice, and like I said before, some of the stages are changed. So what happens is not only are they reuse some stages, but in the new stages, there's points in the game where the stages will shift in the middle of the battle. So after a certain point in the battle, the the stages will actually transform into something else, like a big area will switch, or some areas will become blocked off in different ways. So like areas will open and other parts of the area will close, or you'll get like large kind of daises or something that raise out of the ground that you can change the level during the battle that you couldn't do in the first half. So there's a lot of cool stuff going on with that. And again, the monsters. I want to think there's some of my favorites were of the new monsters. The Pied Piper was a really good one, I thought. I really liked that one. The Pied Piper is it looks like a giant rat in a clown suit that its tongue is a black dog and the black dog's tongue is I don't know, like a skeletal piper. It's really bizarre, and it's a really weird boss. It's just so kind of grotesque and huge and amazingly awesome looking. There's Cinderella is a really goofy one. It's goofy, but it looks like a giant centipede essentially with a giant face on its back and a small woman at the front. And you'll find that like the story for it is really interesting. It's creepy and weird. I'm trying to think what else. There was a ton of like Hansel and Gretel is another one that was pretty cool. Trying to think. There's a Frog Prince, and the Rabbit in the Hare is another boss. Those two are pretty similar actually, but the Frog Prince is just like a giant frog. It's it's a giant, soul sacrifice kind of frog, so it's creepy and weird, and it's got stuff going on with it. It's got a little prince riding on the back of the frog, I guess. So it's I'm trying to think. There are a bunch of new bosses though, and they're all really fun to play. And it's cool because the bosses work in these kind of interesting ways that they didn't before. So some of the bosses kind of transform partway through the battles. And in the first game, they're only, I think, Morgan Le Fay changed so much. But in this one, some of the new bosses also kind of transform into a new form with a different element. And it kind of makes you have to plan a different kind of battle strategy. And they do things that are different from your standard battle system. In the previous game, a lot of people would automatically like stun lock, throw down a golem, and rinse and repeat essentially. In this, it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to stun lock now, and the enemies, the bosses, will avoid the golems if they can. But also, there's some new bosses that will smash the golems. You'll find that some of the bosses will like, get this golem shit out of here, blow, and they'll just smash it. So you'll lose essentially you just wasted your magic because the boss will just automatically smash the golem. So it's a kind of a new way to combat that kind of strategy that was going on. It's not like an unworkable strategy. It's just not as good as it was. It's not like so overpowered like it was in the first game. So, again, a lot of good changes to this. If you played the first game, I think like there's no harm in getting this one, because if you liked that game, you'll like this. It's a lot more, but a lot more that's different enough to feel like a new experience entirely. So even when you're going through, you'll find that you'll get a lot of new. There's a lot of new magic. There's a lot of different ways that the old bosses fight differently, and they're a little bit more varied. There were some that are kind of like slight clones of each other in the first one, and they're still here, but they fight more differently now. So it's not like they're less cloney. It's imagine like in Street Fighter 2, Ryu and Ken fight exactly the same, whereas like now they have a quite a different style, even though it's essentially the base same. Um, that's like kind of how the monsters have evolved from the previous game. Really, this game is there's I have almost nothing to complain about. I really liked the first game a lot. It was one of my favorite games of last year, and this one kind of ups the ante in every category. It fixes a lot of the problems with the first game, and I didn't think there was like a huge amount of problems, but there were kind of balance issues with some of the magic, and they're all fixed in this. A lot of the weaker magics in the first game have been fixed. Like stuff I wouldn't have used in the first game, I use a lot now, and stuff that I did use a lot in the first game, I don't use at all because it doesn't fit the same kind of play style I've kind of newly become accustomed to in this like new system of how you play. So it's like always beneficial to start thinking of how you can combine magics because the combined attacks are always stronger. And in the previous game, you didn't have to think about that, so it was easy to not have that kind of thing. But this video is long, and I'm trying to think if I want to say anything else. I There's so much good stuff in this. Like, there's so much to talk about. There's so many cool new stages. There's like a stage on the back of a giant caterpillar, and then like later on there's another stage where the giant caterpillar has stopped and it's in the background kind of watching the battle going on. It's really it's so good. There's so much good stuff. And I think this game will be out in the US in 3 weeks now, 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now. I'm not sure if you're getting a physical edition, if it's download only or whatever, but get it. It's good. Definitely worth having, definitely worth playing, and definitely a game you'll probably see later on in my best of 2014 list whenever I do that, I guess in 2015. But yeah, and this is a really good game, and out of like any type of monster battle hunting type, that genre, I guess, this is easily the best. I can't think of anything better than this. Better than Monster Hunter, oh yeah. Better than Tokiden by a mile. Better than what's it called, God Eater, yes, by a million miles. Soul Sacrifice blows all of those games away. It's such a good game. Just Soul Sacrifice Delta. Get it. Buy it. You'll like it. Even if you haven't played the first game, definitely jump in on this one. If you have played the first game and you liked it, play this one because it's even better in every possible way imaginable. And if you didn't like the first game, I don't know, you're probably not going to like this one. But it does fix a lot of the problems you might have had with the first game, so maybe you'll want to give it a shot. Regardless, I would highly recommend this game. And yeah, that's about it. Play it. It's good. Good stuff. So yeah, I will see you guys next time. That's going to be the end of this long impressions video. But man, Soul Sacrifice, so good. So very, very good. I'm still playing it too. I finished the main story, but there's a lot of kind of side missions I haven't even mentioned to you guys. But I haven't even finished yet. So there's Borman, who is a character from the Avalon in the first game, has a shop, and you have to do quests for him to pay back money to him. There's that. There's also like a kind of infinite create your own quests through a kind of blank page system in the game. And plus there's a bunch of like super strong level 15 monsters with conditions that you have to fight that are really hard, and I don't think I have enough black magic to fight them properly yet. So yeah, I'm still fighting a bunch of stuff. Still, I haven't finished every battle in this game, but I finished all of the main story and all of the probably about 90% of it so far. So I got about 10% left to go, and I'll still be playing this. But I just wanted to talk about it before it became way too long. But anyway, yeah, I know this isn't the Soul game you guys wanted me to talk about, but yeah, next video maybe Dark Souls 2, maybe I'll talk about that. Who knows? Yeah, so that's about it. I'll see you guys next time.